my question is for kids. What is the best age when they should pick up the classical guitar to study?
It's an interesting question, when kids should start with guitar. I think one problem we have with guitar is up here, we have a lot of space, and here the frets are smaller. So for a child to play up here, it's very difficult. Even though it's really the first position, we call this the first position.
Yes.
It's very difficult, especially for a child, because it takes a lot of strength as you want to. I remember when I was a child, I was trying to play a bar chord here, this F major, and I tried, and it was buzzing, and I couldn't get it. It was buzzing. I got so mad, I took my bam, I hit my guitar, and it split. And my father had to come and glue. It was a cheap guitar, but I got so mad because I couldn't make the F chord be clear. So this is something I think we have to consider with children, because either you can start them on a smaller guitar. Of course, you could start them on a 3/4 size guitar, but maybe even that could be difficult depending on the child. So maybe I was thinking, maybe it's good to put a capo at 5th fret and let the child, or 7th fret or something, let the child play the chords, which would be like C, and C and G7, which is what you usually start with. They could play up here, and the distance will be small, and then you could move the capo down as they get stronger. Maybe this is one possibility. And the other possibility, of course, is just to get a smaller guitar for children. But this is one thing. With piano, you have this a little bit, but the kids seem to be able to deal with it all right. Even cello, they start very young sometimes, and of course, that's a big expanse. So I think it depends, obviously, on the child. But I think there's no reason not to start guitar very young. In fact, this is a big problem that I've seen a lot in my career as a teacher, because very often with classical guitar, somebody started with rock guitar or jazz guitar. They didn't start with classical guitar. They get to be about 14, 15, 16, all of a sudden they discover classical guitar. They say, oh my God, what is this? This is fantastic. How come I didn't know about this before? But, of course, then you have to change a lot of things with the technique to make it work for classical. So I like the idea of starting the kids young with the guitar, but always with the solfege and the theory and everything else at the same time. So a problem I had when I started, this is a big problem actually, that a lot of the simple pieces for guitar are not great music. Leo Brouwer wrote these wonderful studies. They're very good, but aside from a very few pieces with the classical guitar, there is a general problem, which is that the good pieces are so difficult. So how do we start children? If we start them with some pieces that maybe are not so hard to play, those pieces sometimes are not very good music. It's not like piano, where Bartók has microcosmos, and even Bach has some pieces that are simple, and Schumann has some pieces that are simple for piano. So I was thinking maybe to start classical guitar, maybe it's better to start the children playing duos, not just solo. And then they learn to play ensemble, they learn to read, and they play just one voice at a time. It could be, and then they could read very good music. They could read Bach chorales. 4 children can read each one line, and they learn to read different clefs this way. You could even give the Bach chorales the way Bach wrote them in 4 clefs. Different, soprano clef, and alto clef, and etc. And tenor clef, and bass clef. And they would learn to read the clefs. So I think the problem with the education of young people is that it is too limited. We are only asking them to read classical guitar G clef, They don't learn theory, they don't learn ear training, and they don't really develop a good feeling for what is good music, because they are starting with music that is not really great music. I see with my daughter, who plays piano. Well, of course, she started, one of the first things she was playing Mozart, Bach right from the beginning, or Bartók. It's very hard on guitar for one guitar. But if you take Bartók, Microcosmos written for piano, you could play it on 2 guitars, 1 guitar with each hand. Then you switch, so that the children learn to read the treble clef and the bass clef at least. And so one starts like this, then they have to switch points. So this, I think, is really important with teaching children, that we need a new kind of pedagogy to teach young people. This is really, really important.